Just the two of us. That's not much of a meeting.
Yeah, just it's trying to see if I can. I don't know if you retain the link to that Google Docs Ceph survey result that I shared.
I left a bunch of comments on the sheet.
Okay.
I've not had a chance to go look at the actual live survey.
Okay. Let me see if I can still get that Google Docs. And then we can see if we can. Shoot. I am not able to find that link. Would you mind sharing, copying the link here, the chat box?
Oh, sure. To the spreadsheet.
Yeah, to the Google Docs spreadsheet.
Okay, let me find it. All right, let me cut and paste. There.
Thank you.
Have to get it from my other system.
Oh. Take that.
I have a camera and headset on my work system, but I do all my Ceph stuff. Ceph community stuff on my personal.
Okay. Let me see if you added some comments in the spreadsheet. In the 2019 survey sheet? Or? Okay.
Yeah. Should be like little yellow triangles on the corners of cells. I'm sure there's some way to get a list of all comments too.
Right. Yes. There you go. In that comment icon on the top right corner next to share, if I click that, I'll see. I see all the comments.
Comment history.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. I will. Oh, this is also for the survey interface, right? You're given some of it. Make this multi-choice, not radius buttons. That's for the question content, right? For example, the one that
because in the last meeting, we talked about how organization type was mentioned, where something could be both academic and military, or something like that. So when I went through there, I didn't know if some of these were like that, but there were some where I thought it would be important to make sure that they are multi-choice and not radio buttons.
Okay. Yeah. So I didn't, looks like there is no other comment that was added. I'll work on this today and put them in place so that Mike can, we need to finalize this next week, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
And see if this is a sufficient list, probably having a priority of what's important for us out of this question list, or there are others that need to be added. I'll make another sheet here, Ceph 2020 user survey, and then start listing down the question list, right, based on comments. And then at least the content part will get ready, and the navigation and other pieces we can, I don't know how much of it. Basically, we have to go through that tool and see if we need to make changes in the way we navigate through the questions as the survey appears.
Yeah, I haven't looked at that yet, but okay. I can offer some thoughts based on they're like sites that do surveys where you can get points to get like airline miles or other things. And I use them to get a few miles to keep my airline miles from expiring. And one thing I hate is when a survey doesn't give you any idea of progress of, how much more you have to endure.
Okay.
So
I'm just noting down while you're speaking.
One way or the other, we should let the user, even if that just means saying up front there are 50 questions or whatever, then that at least gives the user some idea of when they're through that there's light at the end of the tunnel, so they don't just give up in disgust.
Right. Progress of the survey indicator that is needed, right?
At the very least, just saying up front how many questions there are, if that's not obvious.
Right. Whichever is the easiest way, we can put that just on one of the corners. We can simply say 10 out of 50 or whatever that number is, right? But I think
if the questions aren't numbered,
right, because that was the other piece.
If the numbers aren't, or make the numbers visible to the user, if that's an option. Just some way to know.
Meaning, you mean to say the last discussion, it was like, if I choose one particular option there on that survey, and you answer that question, based on that, it'll pop up other questions, right? So it's not a fixed list of questions. That was what Mike was telling. And if that is the case, we don't know how many total questions, but at least in which case that will be difficult, right? We wouldn't know how long the survey would go like that. If it based on the answer, if you are giving more questions, even if that has a max limit, okay, there'll be about 20 questions or 10 more questions. That will be helpful, right?
Or just some idea. It doesn't have to be precise. Just some.
Right, some idea on how many more questions. Or
because get these surveys where they give me page after page where they list like 3 things, 5 things, and I have to rank them. And the next one, it gives me like, it swaps out one of them for another thing and wants me to rank. And then it gives me like 20 of those in a row. And it's like, this is bullshit. And that's a survey I'll quit early.
Right. Yes, certainly. Yeah. And the first point that you said was some kind of incentive, right? Like air miles, or is that what you were telling?
So, some sort of incentive?
Well, maybe I heard it wrong. You were referring to air miles and all that, right? What was that?
No. I'm just saying that those are other surveys that I've taken. I'm not saying that we should offer some incentive with this.
Okay. So progress indicator, and then some idea on how many questions still need to be answered. And then the other piece to that was, as you start the survey, would we have categories listed, and they can choose depending on the user. Some could be developers, some could be admins, some could be application developers, and they might, or systems engineers, they might have their choice of what questions are important to them. So if we can categorize, show some boxes or a click button kind of thing, which will say is for sysadmins or developers and so on, more relevant and interesting questions to them will pop up, right? And then a general set of questions to everybody. Of course, the first few can be like, where they are, the geo and the industry that they're working in, those kind of general questions are okay. But beyond that, if we can target to the specific users types, then it will be much more interesting for them. Right? Would that be a good one to reorganize it? Okay. Yeah. Survey.
Oh, I'm curious. I just thought of something. Do we have a question in here for CPU architect? Oh, we do.
Yeah, it is there.
Oh, 27. It might be interesting to break out, to add an AMD choice in there.
AMD choice, yeah, yes. Let me search for that one, CPU. Right?
Yeah, 27, custom 27.
27.
What processor architecture to use?
Let me go back up here and see. What processor? So ARM is there, Power is there, Intel is there. Okay. So let me say.
Yeah, just add AMD under Intel.
AMD. Yeah. I just marked it now. Good. Okay. Also, the storage devices used, right? We have HDD, SSD, SATA, SAS, NVMe, micro SD card. That was interesting. And then Optane.
Yeah, like somebody mentioned in the last meeting, who the heck is running on Power? Which should be uppercase, but I don't know if they even get it to compile. But
should we include this time a form factor, drive form factor, M2, U2?
I don't know. What value would that give us? Any value?
Yeah. Yes. From a, let's say for CSPs, right, cloud service providers, they would like to have a linear rack space. And if you have this scale form factor drives, then they can bunch in a group of those drives and make their racks much more, slimmer, right? With all their drives together, it can have larger capacity, but then take much less space than you fit that. Of course, it would need appropriate ports on the servers to attach these scale form factor drives, but certainly we at least from Intel side, I know there is a demand for it. In fact, somebody else was telling, right? They wanted that in the last call. I don't remember who.
I may have mentioned that.
Yes.
EDSFF looks really interesting, but
Correct.
there needs to be more than one vendor.
More than one vendor, correct. Probably going through the OEMs would be a better choice, right? Than working with direct vendors like ourselves, Intel. So maybe that might be a good one to add. Drive form factors.
Yeah, I'm still not clear on what value. I think if we add a question to the survey, it should give Ceph upstream some value, and I'm still uncertain what value that would have to Ceph.
Oh, from a Ceph standpoint, yeah. But this is mostly more of a infrastructure question, right? From a Ceph standpoint, it might not make a difference from a software end,
right?
As long as there isn't any dependency that Ceph has on a particular media type, or rather form factor. Right, if you have the right driver and other things that it will support.
Yeah, because if it's SATA, does it really matter if it's M2 or U.2? I mean,
U2, yes.
Yeah.
Just put Q 28.1 drive form factor. Question. Okay. One thing which I did not see here is would it be useful to put?
Those should be multi-choice too, if they're not already. I guess. Well, looking at those numbers, they must be multi-choice. Never mind.
For question 27 or in general?
28. Both of them should be multi.
Yeah.
It looks like they both already are.
They are both multi-choice. Make sure it is multi-choice question.
98 and 5 add up to more than 100, so 27 clearly already is.
Okay.
Because those are percentages, right?
Right, those are percentages.
So yeah, if it were radio buttons, they would add up to no more than 100.
Okay. The other part was about the CPU sockets, single socket versus multi-socket. Would that be of interest?
I think so.
Yeah, there isn't one here. There is CPU, but it's just the processor.
I thought there was.
Oh, I didn't see anything with socket. Searched for it.
I could be wrong.
So CKET socket. Yeah, it's not finding anything in here. Maybe in 2018 socket. No, it isn't. I think adding one question on that certainly would be meaningful. A lot of cost implication, cost performance, price performance, right? With sockets.
It also informs, the question of how big of a deal is NUMA.
Yeah, did I see?
So choices of 1, 2, and 4.
Yeah, there is nothing about NUMA. Certainly, that should be there.
Yeah.
I put one here. Question 27.1 and a question on number of sockets and course. Probably in that question we should also include would they prefer higher frequency, smaller number of cores, or lower frequency, more number of cores?
Well, that all depends on the use case.
Yeah.
And so for number of sockets, I would qualify that to say for OSD nodes.
Yeah.
Because that's where the biggest question is. But yeah, so like, if you have an OSD node with like 24 OSDs on it, you're going to favor, a higher core count. But people running an MDS, you want fewer cores, you want higher frequency more than anything else, and you can only use a smaller number of cores. And so people, running Ceph are going to make that choice for an MDS. And mons don't have to be much at all, right? So really, it's only really a concern for OSD nodes.
Right. And do you think most installations have them dedicated? Like, monitor, you just keep a monitor node and don't club it with an OSD node?
I would hope so.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's easy to think that the traffic on the user list is a representative sample, but it probably isn't. But I see more people running them dedicated than running them converged.
Combined,
and I always advocate that people run them converged, run them dedicated.
Right.
So that if you do maintenance, you don't take down both an OSD node and a mon. I've lived through too many mon election storms.
Yes.
I want to touch mons as little as possible. Mind you, we're not running Firefly anymore, but still.
Yeah.
Firefly was a nightmare. And don't get me talking about dumpling.
Yes, that's a good point.
Oh, is there a question about that?
Which one? About what?
Is there a converged question? No, there isn't. That might be an interesting question.
Yeah. There isn't one on that. How do you frame that? Which OSD layout? That's a different one.
I would say just do you run dedicated mon nodes?
Okay.
Like yes or no?
Do you run dedicated mon nodes? Right. Yes or no? Okay. Then, yeah. So what else? There wasn't one on. Maybe there was. Let me look for backup. Search for backup. Use cases, basically, right?
I thought there was one in there for that.
Yes, there is. Yes.
I got somebody last year was still running dumpling. Or bastard.
Oh, is it?
Oh, just looking under Q6.
Two, three, backup big data analytics archive, other archive, backup, big data analytics, other. No, that's for RGW. Where do we have one for RGW APIs? S3 Swift, RGW admin API, NFS3 export, and there is librd. To librd, there is a boot virtual machines database, other. That's the one I think that might. Is there anything else? Should be big data and analytics? Would that be a sufficiently big bucket to include AI and ML?
Yeah, I wouldn't get too obsessed there. But back under the RBD question though, I would just say virtual machines, not boot virtual machines.
Yeah. This is mostly, should we say it as boot storms?
I would just get rid of the word boot.
Okay, just keep virtual machines. Okay. I mean, it is understood, right? When we say virtual machines.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are plenty of installations that let you attach secondary volumes, but not boot. Both my current employer and DigitalOcean were like that, for example. At DO, we kept talking about boot from Ceph, but management never greenlit the work that it would take.
And should we?
It might be interesting to add a choice under there for containers.
Yeah, I was telling the same thing, but I found that what are the use cases for Sep Clusters? It's in there, but it's not a. It's a different kind of question. In the RBD one, back to RBD. Let me go back to RBD.
I guess those are a little. Maybe that RDB question should just be merged into Q38, their use cases, because they are kind of redundant.
Right. What was that?
RBD. So just add, VMs and DB in there under use cases, and get rid of that question altogether for RBD.
Right. Let me go to that containers question again. Containers. That's question 38. And RBD. This was. It's just next to it. So I'll just make a note here that RBD workloads, merge this into question 38.
Yeah, the use cases.
Question 38, use cases. Yeah. All right. And what platforms? Is there any newer platform, like should we include OpenShift in this question 32? Which platforms do you use with Ceph?
I guess it wouldn't hurt with all the other ones in there.
The other ones are OpenStack, CloudStack, Eucalyptus, OpenNebula, Kubernetes, VMware, Windows, Hyper-V, Proxmox, KVM, Xen, RBD directly on Linux systems. Those were the options.
Yeah, didn't Nebula shut down?
Yeah, that's right.
So those people are kind of orphaned.
Right. That's another thing we need to keep track of. Which ones become obsolete or kind of.
Well, that doesn't mean people aren't still running it.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, Dumpling is obsolete, but we still shows people running it.
Correct. How many of them they'll have to make? The question of how they will maintain it and what they will move to, migrate to. So I'll just say here, include OpenShift. Yeah, Kubernetes. Well, actually, Kubernetes is there. OpenShift is basically automated Kubernetes, but I think to separate that out, it's still meaningful. Should we say OpenShift or Open Container Storage? I don't know. OpenShift, Open Container Storage.
Yeah, I haven't heard the term Open Container Storage.
Yeah, that's from in the context of OpenShift. It's popularly or may not be popular yet, but commonly called OCS, Open Container Storage. Basically, it's the it is Ceph. Underneath OCS is basically Ceph, right? Red Hat moved away from their general storage solution on OpenShift with ClusterFS to Ceph, right? They don't their default storage support is not ClusterFS anymore. It's Ceph. So that's what they call as Open Container Storage now. And you can plug that. You can either work independently as an OCS platform, or you can plug it into an OCP, the Open Container Platform. That's OpenShift Container Platform. So that could be a new one. What else? Yeah, all the ones that are marked in red in the 2019, and some of those should be back, I think, right? The red means it was not part of the 2019 survey. It was in 2018.
Dropped.
Sorry, what was it?
Yeah,
they were dropped. Yeah, red means they were dropped. What are the interfaces used to
used kind of running together there.
Yeah, it's just
response
the
count. Oh, okay. Oh, they just run over.
Yeah,
there's some crappy rendering right there.
Right. Used on the cluster, right? Block, object, file, CephFS, librettos. What are the interfaces used?
Oh, I'm curious if we dropped that. Did we ask that somewhere else?
No, the question we asked was a different one, which was reduce block device. What is it? RBD workloads. Those were workloads, right? Not the interfaces. Where else did we use RGW elsewhere or librettos? Librettos. Programming language. Did it come in there? Librettos. No, it came here. There are 3 references to it. That's one, which is part of the interface question. Environment status response count. What was that question? Next to question 56. Test as POC development and staging. Test POC development and staging. What is this? Environment status response count. RBD, RGW, CephFS, librettos. That's another. I don't know what that is. Do you use that for tests and POC or development or staging or production?
Why would we care?
Yeah, really. Maybe just to see, yeah, really, that numbers, even if it is there.
Yeah, I don't know why we would care about, POC dev stage production. I don't know why we would care.
Yeah, probably just to see, hey, we are just now. Majority of them respond with no. Is there a high number under test POC for a particular interface? Then maybe hey, why are they not putting it in production? Are there more issues or something must be going on with it? That could be an indicator. Right? But beyond that, I don't know how it would be.
The responses last year were overwhelmingly production. So
yeah,
I don't think that gives us anything. I would remove that block. Honestly.
Yeah. Let me just put the note in there telling that not very useful. Can be moved and
and then it's like right above it is it the same thing, just mostly duplicated? Yeah, it is. That's weird.
Yeah, correct. Oh, that's maybe that's just the percentage. No, I don't know why it's repeated.
Oh, good point. Yeah, that's percentage versus absolute.
Yeah, that's it, right. And these are the numbers, and that's the percentage. Like this. IP protocol usage, IPv4, IPv6 dual stack.
I think that's valuable. Because people are all the time having issues with V6 right. on the list.
Yeah, that one and the one above, the two above it, the type of NICs, 1 Gbps, 10, 25, 50, 100. I don't know if there is one with, should we go to that? Which one are more popular, Mellanox or somebody else?
I didn't quite make that out. More popular or what?
Which NIC cards they prefer, like a Mellanox card or?
Oh, or Intel.
Because we're asking AMD and Power and Intel and all that, but similar one applies to the NIC cards as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Ceph cares as much about that than the CPU. So, yeah, I don't see a value in that. But but the block object file librettos question, were we going to bring that back?
Librettos question.
The one that's in red after Q32.
Yeah.
I think that would be useful to bring back.
Oh, this one, right? What are the interfaces used?
Hi guys.
The one below that. What are the interfaces on the cluster? Hey.
Correct. This one. Hello.
In red.
Yeah,
that one. I think that would be useful to bring back.
Yes.
Because that helps, direct, where, priority is maybe.
Yes. Definitely, that'll be useful. Who joined us? Stefan. Oh, great. Hi, Stefan. So, Stefan,
sorry for joining late.
Oh, no worries. Anthony and myself, we were just going through this. I could not somehow share this Google Docs document with your email ID. It wouldn't accept it. Is there another email ID you want to give?
Yeah, I just requested access. Actually, it's I don't use Google that much, so but I had an account called iotimeout@gmail.com.
Okay, so is that the same email ID then?
I did request access, so maybe you've got her.
I didn't receive one so far. So let me check if I got one. There you go. Open requesting access. Okay, there it is. But this is coming from which ID? Let me see.
IO timeout, it's called.
Okay, iotimeout@gmail.com. No, but
yeah, there you go. Now I get.
Yeah, but your email ID, Stefan, is that still the same one with .nl?
Yeah, that's my email address, but it's not hosted at Gmail, and I don't know if that's a requirement to get access to Google Sheets.
Yes, because
I guess so.
It certainly makes it easier.
If I try to use it, I mean, include that and share it with you, it doesn't recognize that email ID, right? So that's the issue.
Okay, yeah. So if you would use that IO timeout thing, then I should get an email, and I should be able to access it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me use that one then. That's the request for this one. And copy. There you go. Send. Share anyway. You should get it now.
I received. Yeah, I get some beeps from my phone, so yes.
All right. Yeah, basically we're going through the sheet and identifying which questions would make sense to bring back and change the content and add new stuff, all of those things. And also one of the individual task items we had was to go through this individually and then add comments. So even if we cannot cover it in this meeting, please, at any time you get some time, put in your comments.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Okay. Ceph clusters, total raw capacity, usable capacity, largest cluster capacity. How many cluster does? Yeah. I think the node level detail, some of those questions were removed. Let me go to that. How many OSD nodes in your cluster? Would that make sense or would that be useful? It makes sense, but would that be useful? How many OSD nodes in your cluster? Up to 10 nodes, 10 to 100 nodes, 100 to 1,000 nodes, 1,000 to 15,000.
I think there's some value in it. Less than it used to be.
Yeah, I guess there's this this module in the manager now that you can send telemetry, and it might already do answer most of the questions in this questionnaire, but well, we don't know.
Well, it doesn't help for the people running order releases though, or people like me who don't trust the manager modules because we see so many people on the list having problems with them.
Yeah, so then I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Included. And then the other one, how many OSDs in your cluster? That question, the one underneath it, row number 113 and column F. How many OSDs in your cluster?
Yeah, for that you can calculate how many OSDs per node they have. Roughly.
Well, assuming you have one cluster.
Yeah, it says, yeah, it doesn't, it's not plural, right? It says cluster, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, back when Ceph didn't really scale very well at all above like 200 OSDs, that was a big question. But like especially after CERN's Big Bang, the scalability has really increased, and there are any number of people running 1,000 or 2,000 OSD clusters.
Right. Yes.
And so I'm not sure. I don't know that either of these here that say should be included really give us any value. And it's already a long survey. And so I'm not sure who wrote should be included, but I disagree. Even
that one, right? Whether that would make sense. Did I say it should be included? We'll just put a question mark in here. Need more clarification. Why? What is the value? Okay. Disagree, remove. Yeah, good. Likewise, which OSD backends are used? This was covered, I think, right? So we don't need that.
if it's somewhere else.
Yeah. The Blue Store. Oh, that was not. Yeah, Blue Store XFS. I mean, I'm seeing more and more people are moving to Blue Store. I don't know.
Simple attrition, yeah.
Yeah. That certainly is not useful. What kind of redundancy is used? Replication and erasure coding. It's also, again, those who are using block would go for replication, right? I don't know. I don't think they'll go for EC. It's only for those object store users.
Well, as of Luminous, you can do EC for RBD. There's obviously some overhead there.
Right.
But for example, in use cases for cold data, there are use cases for RBD for cold data. And
cold data?
Cold. Just archival data.
Yeah.
Stuff that doesn't get read very often.
Right.
Then EC is not a bad approach there. I'm planning. I have a bunch of old clusters where I am now. The management wanted me to use EC on all of the new ones that I'm replacing them with. But some of those clusters are going to have 6 nodes. And it's like, yeah, no, that's not a good use case for EC. But I have a big archival cluster that'll have, like 200 OSDs. And that's much more reasonable to use EC on.
Right. That's the other aspect, like you said, right? If there's small number of OSDs and small number of nodes in the cluster,
then EC is a disaster.
Yeah.
Waiting to happen.
Yeah. So yeah, this is even if you put that question, it is difficult to answer, right? It doesn't make sense just with that yes or no kind of question with what kind of redundancy is used.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we just get to know. Yeah, even if we get a high number for replication, it still doesn't make sense.
Yeah, most people are gonna be using replication.
Right. Erasure coding. Yeah, they're all kind of standalone questions. Maybe we'll have to rephrase this if we want to make meaningful data out of it.
Yeah, I don't know what we would do with K&M values. So the K&M levels, I don't see how that would be useful. I would think that the EC plugins would have some utility, but I'm confident that almost everybody is going to either not answer it or say J erasure.
Yeah. Which erasure code plugins do you have? J erasure, ISA. Yeah, that also is a. This would be helpful for developers, I guess, Sep community developers, if they have to focus on a particular solution. But just the number would not suffice to make any valuable decision. Are you using RBD asynchronous mirroring for disaster recovery multi-site? Do you use snapshots? Do you use the Ceph dashboard? Do you use subtree pinning?
Yeah, I wasn't sure subtree pinning, was that a
CephFS.
CephFS question?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I would add in there explicitly if that means I would, do you use CephFS subtree pinning?
It would indicate how well the balancer is doing. If like a lot of manual tuning is being done, the subtree pinning, then developers know that they have to keep on improving the balancer, which they're already doing.
You mean the PG balancer? I think
not
that's
the PG
orthogonal.
balancer. Yeah, the CephFS balancer. If you
I
have
didn't know there
multi-MDS.
was one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never run CephFS, so my knowledge of it is limited.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, but this question makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I first read that, I thought it had to do with the tunable, what is it, Mon OSD down out subtree limit.
Okay. No,
that's why I suggest adding the word CephFS in there, so it's it's a little more clear.
Yeah. Add CephFS.
Is there a question about multi-MDS?
Oh, TMDS. Yeah. I don't think there's anything on that one.
That would be useful to have. Otherwise, well, you don't have subtree pinning when you don't have multi-MDS, but still. Multi.
How would you frame that question, Stefan?
Yeah, do you use do you use CephFS with do you use a multi-MDS CephFS setup? I guess that should be clear enough.
Do you use multi-MDS?
Yeah, multi-MDS CephFS.
Okay.
U62, number of active MDS.
Okay, so it's already there. It's active.
Yeah. 62.
52.
62. Although there was no data for last year.
Oh, interesting to see. Just scroll a bit. There we go. Oh yeah, number of active MDS.
Yeah, correct. There was no. This was basically in the feature wish list. No, this is not the one. Where did you find that one?
On line number 60. It's Q62, is the number of active MDS. You have to scroll all the way to the right to get that one.
Yeah, cell AA60.
AA60, okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Now, aren't 35 and 43 and 55 the same? I'm saying there 3 times.
35?
Right below that. Line 74.
Line 74.
Yeah.
Where?
It's the same question 3 times with 3 different data, 3 different types of data.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
These 2, right?
Yeah.
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 It's
Yeah.
Yeah, those are duplicates. Yeah.
Correct.
Also typo there.
what happened here? The Net Promoter Score, yeah. Don't know why it is a duplicate. Was there another one? You said it repeated 3 times?
Yeah.
Q35 and 42.
Yeah, they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, question 10 and question 66, right?
Yeah, and then the same with 42 and 34. These numbers are just not in order. It's very confusing.
Right. Yeah. So when I put this in place, I had to put this in this fashion to map, because I put these, I added the questions later on, and then I followed the sequence of the survey in question numbers. So I'd already bucketized these questions into some groups, relevant groups, but then the sequence in which the questions were asked in the survey were different. So I had to put these, that's why it's unordered all over the place. Maybe we can change that later on. Yeah, but this is anyway a duplicate. Duplicate of question 10. Then maybe, yeah, like, Anthony had already given for you, Stefan, if you look at this comment section here up above, he has put a lot of comments. We can continue that this week and add some more or directly add comments in here. Both are okay. Right, we are at the top of the hour. So I'll just send out just a meeting notes with what we did today, and then schedule one for next week. I think if the content portion is ready, then rest of it is just the format, right? Usage. There I put one more tab here, Ceph 2020 survey, the third one. This is basically, I'll just update this. If you go to the inputs on survey, how do you say survey what? Survey in UI. We can add those comments in here if we go through the survey and say, hey, this is how it has to be presented. Maybe we'll need some of them with as radio buttons or multi-solution option and so on. And then also, if you need a better way of navigating those questions, making it look easier or more interesting to answer, all those kinds of questions.
I'll try to go look at that.
Okay.
So, maybe over the weekend.
Okay. And Stefan, you also got the link, right, that Mike sent for the survey?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, then. Let's meet next week. And probably we should be able to be done by the latest by mid-December before we get into the holiday season.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye now.
Bye now.
All right. Bye.
Bye.